Today on the show, a poll of Gen Z says there is too much of the S in the movies these days. Is this the start of the shift we've been predicting?
Speaking of Gen Z, we are going to deconstruct the idea of deconstruction and try to figure out the most important question: why does it annoy me so badly?
Great question, Josh. And Josh shows me footage of a video game where you win literally by just not screaming while you're playing it. I'm reading this for the first time. That's very strange premise of a game.
All this and more on episode 28 of the Blimey Cow podcast.
I bet I got the timing of that perfectly.
Probably did. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Blimey Cow podcast. Every Friday, we try to make the world a little less messy. My name is Josh.
And I'm Jordan. Comment below with your answer to this week's question: would you choose one best friend for life or three amazing rotating friends?
So the friends just spin. They do circles while you're friends with them.
That's a weird friend.
Just kidding. You know what I mean. Rotating as in might be one guy and then it's someone else, but they always have three and they're always great.
But are they always the same three?
No, that's what I'm saying. One person might drift out of your life, but then someone else comes into your life. Or just one best friend and it's the same person the whole time.
Interesting.
Okay, good question. Speaking of friends, we want to thank everyone that has become a supporter in October and November because we both have been traveling. And so we got a little bit ahead on the podcast, and I'm a little bit paranoid that we forgot to thank people for joining supportblimeycow.com.
We didn't forget you. We were just gone.
We were just gone. Katie, Elizabeth Price, Greta Elise, Abigail O'Neill, Isaac Ham, Samantha, Josh Guilford, Jim Lee, Megan, and Gabrielle Hoffman.
If you want to support us, go to supportblimeycow.com to help make this show possible. If you thought about becoming a supporter, now is a great time to do it because we have some awesome things in the works for the new year, but more on that very soon.
And also, finally, before we get into the show, check out the Clips channel. Everything you love about the podcast without the time commitment. We're coming up on 700 subscribers, youtube.com/@BlimeyCowClips. We got some fun top stories.
Yeah, we do.
You ready for this?
Uh-huh.
Here we go.
So we were both traveling. I was by boat and by land because I went on a cruise.
Yes.
But we had to get to the cruise port and things. So you're driving a rental car.
Okay.
So I'm always terrified of rental cars, because what if you get in a crash? What's the process of that situation? So I'm always scared of that. And if you're driving in Florida ever, you know that Florida drivers, not to offend anybody out there, but who cares, are some of the craziest drivers that exist because I don't know why, Josh.
That's true.
I'm on the turnpike and I look behind me, trying to stay in the right lane, trying to just drive slower. I see 30 cops behind me. And I'm like, wow, okay, so what's going on here? They're zooming in and out of traffic. I'm like, this is not something must be going on. So I'm trying to get over, but they're zigging, zagging everywhere. So I'm I don't know how to get. Next thing you know, in the shoulder, small shoulder, inches from my car, a car goes past me at 100 miles an hour and just completely shakes my car. We almost crashed because of this. I was like, oh my gosh, these police are chasing this car who almost killed me. And Sarah, we almost died. Wow, this is crazy. The cops, and then all of a sudden the helicopter flies over and it's it literally looked like Need for Speed. It was crazy. I was like, I love that game. But it was amazing. And the cops, really, they were kind of doing it, zigging and zagging out of everything. It was this is kind of crazy, but this guy almost killed me. So it's justified. And so, I never know what the end of the story was because they're gone and I actually made a wrong turn. And so I was because it's kind of exciting because the cops are driving all down the grass median, 15 minutes later. There's no chance they're going to catch this guy. 15 minutes later, you got a guy on a...
We're going to be there.
Yeah. Literally at 80 miles an hour, driving down the grass. Debris is flying. People are swerving out of the way.
Don't forget about us.
So I didn't know how the story ended. I was like, wow, this guy must have been some kind of murderer for doing this. He almost killed us. So I'm at the airport, pulling my bag, and I see on the TV it's talking about this chase, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is where I saw this. What happened is great. It's the end. What are the chances I get to see the end of the chase? It turns out that the police were not chasing the car that blew past me and almost killed me. That was an undercover police officer with no lights.
Who was also chasing whoever was ahead of you somewhere.
Who was also chasing this U-Haul. I saw a big van, but I was so distracted by the fact that this car almost killed me. It was like, oh my gosh, like what is, it's gotta be this guy. There was a car that a police officer was tailgating, and I was like, well, who is this guy? So it just completely went off my radar. Like I couldn't imagine. It was the U-Haul wasn't even driving that like bad at all. It was just like
not as bad as
normal.
the police officers.
No. So it was like unimaginable the amount of police that like on TV that were chasing this guy.
Yeah,
unimaginable.
I watched
like
the clip.
50. Yeah, right. It was like
and
50.
The clip was popular because the one of the guys gets out of the car and like tried to jump off the bridge.
He was running out of options. He didn't want to kill himself, but he was like,
I don't think he was trying to self-delete. I think he was just trying to escape. And they're like grabbing him. He's like dangling. He's like, no, don't get me.
That was when you're watching these on television, you're like, this is justified. This is worth it. Because like, who knows what this guy did? But when you're actually there as a pedestrian on the streets when this is happening, it was a whole new perspective.
These are real lives.
Yeah, and these people just stole a U-Haul. I'm not going to say just because that's bad, but they stole a U-Haul, and the police decided it was justified to chase 50 police officers down the street, almost killing me because of the U-Haul that they crashed and totaled and destroyed. Because honestly, they couldn't even catch the guy. It was a pedestrian getting hit that stopped the U-Haul. And then the police did a pit maneuver and stopped him. But like a pedestrian getting hit slowed him down enough for them to do the maneuver.
Well, thank you for your sacrifice.
So that really changed my entire perspective on these police. Now, okay, maybe if the guy was a serial killer murderer. Okay, there are different levels of sin. When it comes to the law.
The cops have to assess the level of sin.
Yeah, but the guy stealing a U-Haul was worth it to have 50 police officers chasing for 20 minutes, even though they couldn't
Jordan,
catch him.
if you just let everybody who wants to steal a U-Haul get away, then everybody's going to steal the U-Haul. You know what I mean?
It's going to be me getting my car stolen.
That's what look. These are tricky questions.
Well, and somebody messaged me and said that, but Josh, I said this on Instagram. This story.
Okay.
So at Messi_Jordan, if you would know the story,
you would already know all this.
Yeah, but he said this, but he didn't, and so I got offended. I was like, dude, I messaged him. I was like, the police almost killed me in this situation. You understand? Like, how are you still saying this when I'm saying that the police almost killed me? And you're saying that next time it could be me getting hurt because the robber could be stealing my car.
I'm dying in both scenarios.
I would rather at least have a chance with the robber, not with the police, because I would get thrown in jail still somehow. And Josh, that wasn't my nicest message ever. And he responded, he was like, oh, I didn't see the rest of the story had timed out. I didn't. I just saw the part of the story where you were saying where I saw the video clip and said, what are the police doing here? So I apologized. I was like, look, I was worked up because I was so freaked out by this police chase thing. And he was like, I'm sorry too. I was trying to educate you. I'm so glad that we made up. Really, it gave me hope, Josh.
Good. I'm glad you guys made up.
Yeah, me too. So, and I've helped him with bike stuff in the past. Like what he should get. Okay. So I was like, this coming from him?
This coming from him?
So it was just a misunderstanding.
Okay. Whew. Glad everything's okay. Great top story. That actually was a top story. My top story is that I did my half marathon, Jordan.
You did.
I did it. And I completed it in an hour, 53 minutes, 39 seconds, which was my fastest one yet.
Amazing.
Okay. And
everybody put clapping in the chat.
Clapping in the chat. And Jordan, while I was running my half marathon, I realized something.
What?
I realized I was bored. I was running it. I got like 5-6 miles in. I was like,
why am I doing this?
How many more times am I going to do this? Because to me, it's not like, am I trying to go faster than before? And it's like, I guess I did a little bit. But I don't like.
Doesn't matter that much.
It doesn't. Okay, I got my pace down to 8:30 or 8:20.
You're not going for some kind of personal record
I
in your
just
life.
am trying to stay in shape. But I realized around mile 5 or 6, I was like, it's not interesting to me to go faster. It's interesting for me to go farther. So right then and there, I said, I'm going to do a marathon. I'm going to do it. So I got home after the half marathon, and the next half marathon that I'd already signed up for, I emailed the customer service, whoever, and said, I would like to change my registration, please. 1 marathon coming right up.
Was that complicated for them to shift over?
No, that was fine.
So.
It was fine. They were happy to charge me $40 more. So, so I'm signed up for a marathon.
Wow. Are you scared, nervous, excited?
No. I'm not going to try to go farther while I'm training or practicing or whatever. I'm literally just going to try to run longer. Like longer. You know what I mean? Like have a slower pace.
Oh, you mean time-wise?
Time-wise, yeah. Okay,
okay.
So this time I ran for 2.5 hours.
I see what
when I'm rather than now today I'm going 15 miles to get ready. Because I've seen people say, okay, then you go 15 miles, and then the next week you go
I've seen
16 miles, and it's like, to me it's more about the endurance of how long can you go, because on the day of, you're always going a little bit faster than you're used to going because you're running with everybody. So
that's a good point. That seems like a good strategy.
That's what I'm going to try to do. And I did while we were in, because we went on a trip too while you guys were gone. And we were up in the mountains of Gatlinburg. And I went for a jog one morning. And I ended up just doing a half marathon. But because I was up in the hills and stuff, it took me like 25 minutes longer than it would. So that was my longest run ever. It was 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Okay.
So I was like, well, okay, that's just an hour and 40 minutes more, and that's about what a half marathon is. Marathon's hopefully going to take me.
So an hour and 40 minutes past what you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was well past the halfway point, but we'll see. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see how I have to pace myself.
At that point, it's like you can do it. It's just this mental game.
Well, I've heard that mile 20 is supposed to be some sort of, your body says, no, we're done now.
Yeah.
Are you going to stop? But I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
Okay. We've got the question of the week that is super interesting, so let's go to it. Okay, Jordan, last week's question was...
Oh, this one I came up with.
Yeah.
Would you rather eat 2 dozen eggs a day or 2 loaves of bread a day? I think people are going to say 2 loaves of bread.
You think so?
Yes.
Do you want to see?
Yes, I do.
You want to see what people said?
I do.
All right.
Very curious.
The people said...
It's exactly 50-50.
It's 50-50? Hang on, let me screenshot this right now, because certainly it won't always be that
637 votes, 50-50.
I posted this a couple hours ago. What in the world? 50-50?
People love bread.
All right, let's read a couple comments here. Bread is a lot more variable in terms of flavor, ingredients, loaf size, and the like.
Yes, but we're talking about health-wise. But people would... I think that's the thing. We're getting into some treacherous water here.
I did the math. And look, I according to what you're telling me, people are going to freak out about, what is it saying that
people think
cholesterol, eggs are bad for you because of the
think,
fat or something? What is it?
People think that eggs are going to give you clogged arteries. That's just a standard. That's a standard.
Okay.
And so you can't overdo it, because if you overdo it, then you're going to get clogged arteries and die. So
if somebody who ate 110% clean presented me with that argument, I would maybe listen to it. But I know that the kind of people that are making a big deal about that,
no, they're not eating clean.
It's like, okay, so what are you eating? What are you eating the rest of your day? Why are you worried about eggs? Given what else you eat, wouldn't why just take the threat of cholesterol? You're eating,
it's just what it is, Josh.
Okay. I looked up my favorite bread that is not Dad's bread, which is the Dave's Killer Bread.
Dave's Killer Bread.
Dave's Killer Bread. That's the name of the brand.
Okay. I don't know. Interesting.
But it's like as far as
that's
breads, as far as breads at the grocery store go, It's like better quality bread.
So that's like the liquid death of bread, the killer bread.
Yeah,
I
the
got
killer
you.
bread. Yeah.
I'll look into that company.
They're doing fun, ad campaigns with the devil. No, actually, I don't know why they call it. I don't know why they call it killer bread, because if you look on the back of the loaf, part of what they do is that they hire ex-convicts, like people that have a hard time getting a job.
Weird, Josh,
So I don't know why
the killer bread.
Yeah, Dave is convict bread. But
like the
anyways,
Waffle House
nice
bread.
thing they do. But anyways, 2 loaves of bread. I did the math. 546 grams of carbs.
Every
2 loaves of bread
every single day, every day, nonstop.
And I think that you could. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think. Could you even eat 2 loaves of bread? Like, with that? Because I could easily eat 2 dozen eggs.
If you paced yourself, you could.
Yeah.
I think if you paced yourself, you could down 2 loaves of bread a day for a week. Okay, but at some point, I
make
think
a
it would
sandwich with 4 pieces of bread with like meat on each layer.
They make it a Buster Baxter kind of sandwich. He could do it. If he can do it, we can.
Yeah. 2 dozen eggs has 144 grams of protein, which is plenty for a day.
Yeah, and to me, the decision is obvious. I don't even need to
Right.
see my opinion, tell my opinion. But I don't know. I mean, look, God help them. If they want to eat 2 dozen loaves of bread a day, let them. See where you end up in 5 weeks. See where you end
They're
up.
worried about the cholesterol. 5 weeks, yeah.
I was going to say 5 years. 5 weeks.
Minutes.
You have blown up like a balloon.
Can you imagine how
5
bloated
weeks.
you would feel?
You would die. It would be a nightmare from hell.
This is a great final episode before Thanksgiving. Just a
It
little
is.
reminder. Okay, this week's question is: would you choose one best friend for life, or 3 amazing friends that rotate out?
And we've explained the rotation. It's not the
Yeah.
same 3 friends. You have 3 good friends. Basically, this is how I live now. You have 3 good friends that come and go, and you never see the 3 again, and then 3 new ones come into your life. So
Yeah. Or just one of the best friends. So anyways, comment below, let us know what you think about all that. We'll look at mine first here.
that's fine. Took me a second to get that one, but yes.
I remember those days. All right, here's yours. Oh, it's a picture. Stop giving me your toughest battles. LOL, just go to bed earlier.
I thought that was good.
That's so true. Dude, do you have the same thing that I do where when the time change happens,
Daylight saving time
ends and then it starts to get cold, that like you need more sleep?
Well, this is what's kind of weird. I feel like my body is always on this time. Like when things change
Okay.
over, which is artificial, the change. The time that we're on now
Yeah.
is normal.
Right.
Like the other time, which is the majority of the year, is not normal. I
Yeah.
feel like my body is always on this time, and I'm constantly trying to be
Yeah.
on like the not normal time.
But I mean the days do get shorter.
Yeah, so you naturally sleep longer.
I guess.
That's
Yeah.
just
I don't
life.
I'm just used to being able to wake up at a certain hour and just get rolling.
Well, sometimes you just need more sleep.
I guess
if you've
so.
been
After,
traveling.
after the trip, yeah, that's what I'm hoping. Every morning that happens, I'm like, please, just this needs to be an anomaly. Okay, here's the next one.
All right, we've talked about boy math, we've talked about girl math, we've talked about dog math, but have we talked about millennial math? Probably, but I watch most of my TikToks on Instagram, so I'm behind. All right, we'll start with the easy stuff. 1970, 30 years ago. 1980, 20 years ago. Anyone born after the year 2000 is a baby. Like a literal infant or toddler. Once you turn 34, are you 34 or are you 33? Or are you 35? When you turn 36, you are either 37 or 35. Once anyone turns 40, this included your parents, they are 40 forever until they are like at least 70. And lastly, they cannot remake the movie Mean Girls yet because that movie is only 5 years old.
I thought that was pretty funny.
That's
clever.
good. That's true. Once
Like you're 40, it doesn't matter what age you are. It's like, okay, I'm 40 now, like 43.
like I was about to say what I was going to say, but then I realized I don't actually know how old I am. And then I realized it's true. I think I'm 30. I'm 35. I'm 35. Yeah.
Yeah,
2023
that's
means
right,
I'm 35. But yeah, for a second I was like, yeah, like I don't ever know if I'm 36 or wait, how old am I?
Yeah.
35. Woo, that was funny. Thank you for that. I
That was a
appreciate
good
that.
one.
You knew I was gonna like that.
Yeah, I did. It wasn't a Christian meme, but it was something.
It made me pray. Okay, let's answer a message. Here we go.
Hello, Jordan and Josh. How do I get over someone's past? My boyfriend dated another girl for several years before he met me. They obviously broke up before we met, and they are no longer in touch. He has been very open about his past because he doesn't want to hide anything from me, but he says he just wants to forget his ex and doesn't want to focus on his past, and I get that. However, I'm a curious girl, so I decided to look her up on social media, and when scrolling through her Facebook page, I found some really old photos of her and my boyfriend. And since I saw these, I feel disgusted. I know he doesn't love her anymore. They haven't even talked in years. But still, I feel disgusted by the thought that they once were together. The thought of him holding his arm around another girl, kissing her and loving her just makes me want to vomit. I just wish he had never been in that relationship and that he just had waited for me instead. Because you see, I really love my boyfriend and I don't know. I just don't like the thought of him being together with someone else in the past, and I know past is past. I just find it hard to accept that. Do you have any advice on how I can let go of his past and just focus on us now and our future? Thanks. I would like to point out that there was not one capitalization.
I know. I thought about fixing it, and then I was like, no, let
just leave it.
What do you think about that, Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, look. I can understand this. I can only understand this if the guy had a girlfriend and they didn't post pictures online of them like kissing each other and stuff, which is weird anyways. I mean, like if you're just dating and you're posting pictures, like that's a red flag to me. It's weird.
I agree.
Is she married to this guy now?
No.
Okay.
This is just a boyfriend.
So that's a little weird. The guy at the very least should untag himself from these photos. At the very least. But
Yeah.
you know, now Facebook's got these facial recognition things, so you know,
knows
God knows
what's
if you can even do that. I'm like tagged in pictures sometimes. I'm like, I'm not even on Facebook really anymore.
I realize that you and I don't really have any experience with this, really.
Yeah. There's never been a time where we've posted pictures of ourselves like kissing other women and posting it online.
Right. And we also married people who had not really had any I mean maybe they had people they liked or whatever, but nothing super serious.
Yeah. So we're not the people to ask this question.
Right.
Is what I'm saying. But we will. You've asked us, and so we
We do
answer.
have thoughts.
We do have thoughts. Look, I always just feel weird about guys who, in my life that I've known, who have posted, like I'm old enough at this point that I can see how this all plays out. That's why I say on messages all the time.
Yeah.
I can see these lives play out already because it's happened. And the people who have posted the kissing girlfriend pictures when they were like, 22.
Yeah.
It's never panned out well for them.
Well,
Never one time.
So to be fair, she just said that she saw pictures of them together. In her imagination, she's adding the it's really good. Loving her.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You see what I'm saying? But I can still imagine that that's a strange feeling. And
You're right.
And I think that most people will look past this stuff because they've had these experiences too. But
so it's all a level playing field. you know?
right. But for her, I think this sounds like a situation where he's had more experience and this is all new to her. Especially the language she uses about I just wish he had waited for me.
Yeah.
Maybe, it was just, I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
maybe he thought he was waiting for the last girl. They just didn't work out. You know what I mean? So maybe he's actually waiting. He should be waiting for some other girl.
That's
he just
the
happens
hard
to be
thing.
with you right now.
That's what I'm saying. Once this starts to kind of go this way where somebody is committed to like kissing somebody in our culture, Josh, in our culture, when somebody's committed this hard to these things, that's where it starts to, that's where all the mental game starts to happen. I don't know. I mean, the guy's living his life. He's figuring things out. Like, I don't want to throw him under the bus completely. Like, if, though, Josh, he posted these kissing pictures on Facebook, then I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
about this guy.
what we need to know the content of the
Were
photos.
they posted.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they weren't posted, that's another thing to me altogether. The guy at least has some scruples and some sense.
I feel like these are just photos of them together. Maybe
And he's
even in a
just-
group setting.
He's elaborating.
Yeah, that's what in
Yeah.
my heart. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
I think that this girl has some insecurities that have something to do with her own past that is making it so that when she sees this stuff, her imagination is just running wild. She feels that she is not adequate or that he's gonna want to step out because he's got more experience than her just in relationships or whatever else. So if you're going to focus on somebody's past, maybe focus on yours a little bit and figure out where these feelings of insecurity are stemming from. Because I don't think that just saying to your boyfriend, hey, I am struggling with your past, I don't think that's going to help. It might make you feel better for a minute and he might understand you a little better, but I don't think that that's not a magic bullet. I think the magic bullet is you thinking through, why am I letting this bother me so much?
But again, all this goes out the window if the guy has posted the kissing
Right,
Facebook picture.
100%. Then this is all completely justified.
I am desperately wanting to know what this you cannot unsee this
Get ready.
is.
Get ready for this. Okay, I found this the other day and I just thought it was crazy for multiple reasons, but we're just going to watch through this. But I do want to warn you guys, yes, there will be, maybe skip ahead to the next timestamp if this kind of thing is scary to you, okay? This is not especially gruesome or anything.
But it will make you scream.
It will make you scream. The point of this is, if you scream, you lose. This is a game. This is not real.
See, they're getting smart about kind of making
Yeah.
stuff look like old to make it look real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But man, the
Yeah, it looks real. It's amazing.
effects, like I mean, you know, you can easily say, "Oh, I see. They're doing these tricks to kind of make it, to mask that it's a game," and that's true. But also the effects they're doing, like this VHS tape effect, to sell that convincingly, that's difficult too. So it's like trading,
Yeah.
one hardship for another. So the idea of this game, Jordan, is that you have to survive a certain length of time, I believe like 20 minutes or so.
Oh, that's why the footage is.
But the clock only runs when you're moving. And you
Oh, interesting.
have to have your mic for your computer ready to go because you lose if you scream. It's not if you get caught.
Here comes a scary. Josh is really anticipating what's gonna happen.
I've watched this many times.
Oh, so you screamed the first time?
I didn't, and I kind of doubt you will.
What constitutes screaming?
Basically, I've seen people complaining and saying, "I literally just burped," and it said I lost.
A loud burper. That's the jump scare.
Yeah.
It's jump scares.
Were you scared?
No. It jumps. You know, I'm like Kobe Bryant when the guy with the basketball throws the basketball in his face and he doesn't flinch. Look, if I was in a dark room alone and I got my headset, yeah, I would probably freaked out.
Yeah. I'm not one to like scream. I just like am quietly like.
Yes. Exactly.
But I don't want to buy the game just to find out if that's true about me.
Well, another thing about this game is that it looked so real.
I know.
But then the ghost guy looked so fake.
Okay.
That it like kind of took me out. It was like, okay, so couldn't you have like had a guy with a chainsaw coming after me? Like that would have freaked me out.
You're
That's
like
my
I mean,
worst
but
nightmare.
there was like 3 frames of the creature. So it's like, I mean, you're proving that you have the Kobe no flinch thing because you were able to process, oh, this looks fake in 3 frames. Wow.
It looked fake. Didn't it not look kind of fake?
It does look a little fake compared to the rest of it.
Like if the game was this like not just walking through and a bird flies, but if you could feel that there was somebody like close by and it's like, oh wow, there's a dude with a chainsaw in these woods. He's saying things to you like, hey, come over here. And then next thing you know, you turn around. No, he doesn't jump, but you turn around and he's just standing there.
Oh.
Yeah, that's your worst
like
nightmare.
remember that game Slender or Slender Man or whatever it was.
Exactly. See, that's the kind of stuff that'll get a reaction from me. Turning around and somebody being there is terrifying. Somebody running at you, you've got a chance. If somebody's running at you, you got a chance. If you turn around and you had no clue they were there, you don't have a chance. So, interesting, very interesting game. I will get it and tell you how it goes.
All right, well, we've covered violence. Now it's time to talk about the S.
Look, I've got opinions on this, and it's going to be different than people think. Do you?
I do too. That's why I put this in good news, bad news. Because, listen to this and you tell me what you think. Much of Gen Z wants less sex on screen, a new study finds. All right? So, contrary to what we've all been implicitly led to believe all this time, people might be feeling the slightest bit prudish, at least according to this headline. So here's what it says. The Center of Scholars and Storytellers at UCLA published the new Teens and Screens report Wednesday, gathering data from 1,500 members of Gen Z about what they want to see in the media they consume, whether their screen of choice is a TV or a smartphone. According to the study, 51.5% of adolescents ranging from 10 to 24 want to see content that puts more emphasis on friendships and platonic relationships than romantic relationships, especially romantic relationships involving sex. 47.5% of young people say that sex isn't necessary for the plot of most TV shows and movies. The responses are based on studies showing an epidemic of loneliness among teenagers and teens having less sex than their parents did at their age, and most current programs don't reflect that, as Dr. Yalda Oles, founder and director of CSS, explained in a press release with the release of the study results. So the idea is that, or at least it's being kind of pushed this way, that maybe, well, it's not that they don't want, they want to see different kinds of relationships, like friendships, platonic relationships. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about all that?
This is like where you get what you asked for. Like the Christians have always been like, this is just too much. There's just too much of this stuff in these movies. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't about the S in these movies. It was about what they were pushing behind the scenes with including this in the movies. Like, it was like, okay, they're pushing their worldview of like, this is normal. This is normal.
Right.
So I understand that coming from a Christian perspective, but coming from a secular perspective, it makes absolutely no sense to me. And it means, to me, it means that society is getting further and further away from like a normal human relationship because people are getting more separated. So it's like, well, this isn't my experience. There's less sex in movies because we're getting more and more we're not getting more and more scruples. We're getting more and more farther from reality.
So, because in a way, like,
that the good is now actually bad, they're not including
it.
It means that we're getting worse almost. In a different sense.
I think I agree with you. I think I agree with you. I'm wrapping my head around it. So, right. Because growing up, that was always the frustration. It's like they throw this stuff in the movies, in the TV shows, characters constantly in and out of bed. Yeah. Or the classic trope of a romantic comedy is like, oh, they fell in love the night that they went for it.
Yes, and so that's annoying.
That's the shorthand or whatever to say, oh, they're in love now. They slept together. Yeah. And so it's never a discussion. It's never questioned, or it's just assumed to be true. It's like one of the truest things in all of movies and TV is just like, this is just a thing you do.
Yes, that's what is
a person. Yeah. So, right. So, but what you're saying is that on some level, there is a truth to that. That if you love somebody, this is what you do.
Yes.
But they've
subverted it though in some way.
So you're saying though that if just like the average kid out there or the average person is saying,
not a Christian,
I don't want to see this anymore. It's not that it's that we're creating such a lonely, isolated society that people would just rather like, look, I don't need to. I mean, this is said.
Yeah.
I don't need to see this in movies. I can watch the real thing
Exactly.
on my porn.
Exactly. Why would
So
I?
why do
watch
I have to watch
like
this corny stuff?
Yeah.
Tell me a real story. Give me some real friendships. Yeah.
That's what it feels
That's
like
kind
to
of
me.
that's
Yeah.
sort of what I was thinking too.
It actually to me this is a terrible sign.
Yeah. Okay.
In a very weird. This is bad news to me.
Yeah.
Because I don't. It's just like I was just talking to somebody. It's like if you're not on the same level of like being able to critique something in the same worldview at all, how do you relate to somebody?
Yeah.
Whereas if you have the same worldview, like, okay, we agree that like this shows that you love somebody. We can discuss and talk and like maybe have a conversation.
Yeah.
But if it's like, no, like that's just I don't. This isn't even like.
Yeah.
This isn't even something that I would want to even be a part of. Almost.
Yeah.
And what was concerning the most of what you read was that they were saying they don't want to see romantic movies, but also sex in movies especially. But it was like that was thrown into like, I don't want to see romance at all.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, these people are just seeing romance constantly because all they're doing is watching porn.
Right.
So that's like, why would you want to go and pay to see that?
I want to see something different. Show me, man, that's true. That's true.
It's disturbing. It's disturbing. We want it to go back to the original bad, so that we can work together to fix things.
Yeah.
Now it's just over. I don't even know how we fix any of this. The internet just needs to completely collapse or something for like a week, so people can maybe
think
get back
about that. If there was some sort of like EMP strike,
One
and
week.
the internet was gone, and there was no way to access that anymore, what would people do? Would people just all go into withdrawals? Like, would there be a freak out? Would people become more erratic or erotic, Jordan?
I don't know. I can't comprehend what they would do, Josh. Hey, look, as what I told Sarah, I went on a college campus recently, and it felt so off.
Right.
And I was like, why does this feel off? And I told Sarah, I was like, you know what it was? There was zero sexual tension between anybody. When you go on a college, remember at college campuses, it was like, there was always like, oh, you, maybe this guy or me, whatever. It was just like being interested in people.
Yeah.
When I was on college campus, I did not feel any amount of like brain activity with a person and another person of like, hey, maybe we could be together.
It's like this. It's like this. It's like a weird dystopian type novel where it's not even. It's just boring. Right. It's like they've done something that both makes you crave sex, but also in real life not have any desire for it.
Yeah. Why? Yeah. Why would I?
Like I get that. I get the fulfillment in front of a screen. So in real life, wait, why am I so sad? Why am I so lonely?
And then they can't figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's disturbing.
But then also, this is the problem: is that the opposite is not good either. It's like, I'm lonely, so I'm just gonna go crazy with everybody. And it's like, oh, now I'm still sad.
Right.
I still am lonely.
I don't know. There's that sexual tension in college. If like not just gone completely hog wild. That really, and think about it, that's why anything happened in history. That's why all these conquerors conquered stuff, because they were trying to show, hey, I'm a dominant guy. You want to be with me. That's why it was all for, in my estimation, it was all for trying to, just like I see these roosters that I have constantly fighting each other and then herding their flock of hens away from the other ones, or fighting the other ones. They just know the hierarchy.
Yeah.
I think that's why guys and girls do most anything, is for that reason, even if it's completely subconscious. So I don't really know what people are doing. For why now? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird thing. So this is bad news. Bad news.
Whew. Well, at the very least, maybe we will have less of this stuff in movies for a little bit. All right. Well, that was pretty deep itself, but let's get into some deep thoughts.
Let's jump into mine first because it's shorter.
Yeah, I want to hear this.
So I had this epiphany just today, actually. Sarah has always had the quietest, most tame sneezes I have ever heard. To the point that I thought, why? Like, what's the point for your body to do that? Because clearly it's not getting anything out. It's so mild. And it was always like, I always just thought about that. Like, it's just like so small. But as Sarah had all sorts of health issues growing up with Lyme disease and all this other stuff. And we've slowly been fixing all this. And so now that she's way healthier than she ever has been,
She has really
her
loud
sneezes have gotten so loud. And we were in the car today and she sneezed so hard. And I was like, I said, like, what's going on? But today was particularly just crazy loud.
You were like,
yeah. And I was like, I've always had extremely loud sneezes.
because you're so darn healthy.
And so I thought, wait a minute.
What if?
What if the quality of your sneeze shows how healthy you are? Because your body is like able to get stuff out of it. Whereas if you're not healthy, it's like, again, you can't get it out. It just stays in.
Dude.
And it blew my mind. I've never heard anybody say that.
All right.
The power of the sneeze determines how healthy, because that's a huge... Think about how, like, anytime you sneeze, this is how powerful the human body is. It really gives you an insight as to, like, your actual capabilities. You're sneezing at over 100 miles an hour. You can't just sit here and blow air out of your mouth at 100 miles an hour. You barely blow it out at all. Yeah. But your body, when it's in the deepest depths of trying to protect itself to get something out of you, can do something at 100 miles an hour.
It's like when you see those videos of people like groups of people like lifting cars
because their child is under, and a mom does that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so there's some base level of strength that your body has that we need to unlock, that we can unlock in certain situations. But for the unhealthy, they can't hit that point.
Yeah.
So maybe like the sneeze is this unlocked thing that you can innately do.
Fascinating.
But it just, you can't do it if you're unhealthy. If you're struggling with your health, I should say.
I've heard an interesting theory about hiccups, because they wonder why do you get the hiccups? What's the point? And the best theory I've heard, which makes the most sense with my worldview, that the body is like designed very specifically for specific purposes, is that basically hiccuping is it's basically, once you're an adult, it's just a thing your body does, because it was important that you did it when you were an infant, when you were in the womb, because it's a way for your body to reflexively practice strengthening the diaphragm.
I see.
So when you get older, you still have this instinct to hiccup sometimes, and you're like, why is this happening? Well, because it was something that your body had to do when you were little to give it some exercise, and strengthen it.
The weird thing is, Sarah hiccups a lot. I honestly cannot remember the last time that I hiccuped. I don't, and I think about this every time Sarah gets the hiccups. I'm like, why don't I hiccup ever? Like, for years, never. Why?
Interesting.
I can't figure it out.
I get the hiccups like very rarely enough that whenever it happens, I'm like, what?
I almost can't remember what it feels like.
That's how long it's another wellness sickness thing.
I don't think so. But that's what I don't understand. I don't get it.
Maybe your diaphragm was just, you did one hiccup as a baby. And it was like and you were like, oh, that was perfect.
Maybe.
I'm so strong.
No, I
never
used to get the hiccups. I just don't remember. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know, man. It kind of concerns me, actually. But
you'll fine.
Be okay.
Okay.
Yeah, what's yours? Deep thought.
I came across a Christian meme the other day when I was looking for Christian memes. And it was a video like poking fun at the idea of deconstruction. It was like a fake deconstruction video.
Yeah.
One of those where like the person like sits down. Okay, like we always joke about that's so annoying in those documentaries where it's like, why are you including this?
Yeah.
Just cut it out. Start with the interview. So he's like, he's just making fun and joking around and stuff. Well, the comment section was what was important to me, what I was intrigued by, because everybody was like so offended by the fact that he was making a joke about deconstruction. Like, hey, this is a really serious thing that happened to me. Okay, and it was hard, and I lost people, and blah blah, and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, fine, and but reading through it, you know, I try to be an empathetic person, so I'm trying to kind of wrap my head around, okay, why do I resonate with laughing at this? But also I see people commenting and saying, hey, come on, this is serious. And it finally hit me. I think that the way I feel about the deconstruction movement is the same way I feel when we would go on a retreat or a weekend church thing or whatever, and all the kids would suddenly be crying during worship or something.
That's right.
And in my head, I just didn't buy it necessarily. I was like, this is just a social contagion.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
I don't really believe that the spirit came over this room.
And they changed from who we see them as in normal life, not necessarily a bad thing, but like, and then they're this for 1 weekend and then they go back to normal. Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that that's how I always felt growing up. Like in the same way that we go to retreat, we would, and people would be crying or whatnot. I don't believe that's necessarily real, even though I'm watching it happen in front of me. In the same way that when I see all these people all deconstructing in the same way,
having these huge revelations,
right,
and change their life,
getting their feelings hurt if anybody makes a joke about it. It's like I grew up around people like you. In fact, you people now deconstructing are the ones that were like crying at these things, and I didn't buy that either.
Yeah, it's just you've gone from one thing that seemed like a social contagion, and so now I'm supposed to trust the next thing that appears to be a social contagion as well.
Right.
And it was all the same people doing this now.
But it makes me feel kind of lonely because I feel like I should have been somebody who did that deconstruction because I didn't buy that when I was a kid. But I stuck with the faith. You know what I mean?
Well, the kind of people, and who knows, I whatever, but I'll just say things. But there's a couple of people in the world. There's only two kinds of people. There's people who are at the fair, and they're watching the hypnotist, and they get. There's actually three kinds of people.
Yeah.
There's people in the fair who want to get hypnotized watching the hypnotist, so they raise their hands to go on stage and try to get hypnotized. Then there's people who get hypnotized literally sitting in their seats, not even meaning to, because they're so able to get hypnotized. And then there's the people that can't even imagine that could ever possibly happen to them, and it doesn't. Those are the three kinds of people in the world. So the deconstruction people seem to the people who are getting hypnotized on just sitting in their seats are the people who went to the retreat, and then all this happened in there, and they just start to cry too. It's like, why am I even crying? Everybody's crying, so I'm crying too. The deconstruction people feel like to me that they're the people who wanted to go up on stage to get hypnotized. They would fall more into that category, whereas you are sitting on the sideline like, okay, what is like you're just observing. Like I said, I've said there's three types of people. There's also two types of people: the observing and the observed.
Right, which you've talked about before.
Which I've talked about before.
So I say all that
because there are people out there who are watching who are like, hey, well, I deconstructed my
that's why I've always tried to because I get it, and I've done that stuff, and I don't want to ever seem like I am being hurtful or trying to make fun if I make jokes about it. But also, if there's anything in life that you get offended by, if someone makes a joke about it, that says more about you than it says about me.
And I think that's where it's like, okay, so you clearly haven't deconstructed something, because if you truly have gotten into this new awakening and have deconstructed your life, where you're in this new free, because you weren't free before because you were under this dogma. Now you're free and you can see how everything was manipulating you. Well, then laugh about it. Like if you're truly free, why can't you laugh about the deconstructing joke.
Yeah.
Why are you getting like kind of butthurt about that?
Yeah.
That's where, that's where you're seeing reality, but they're off a little bit. And it's
Right.
like, wait, I see, like when I'm sitting there talking to my friend, I can see their reality like that. But then when it's online and you can't laugh about it,
Yeah.
it feels off. And,
And
something not right about it.
I mean, in the same way that you could not growing up make jokes. And I mean, this is why when we started Messy Mondays and we were joking about this stuff, I mean, we had friends who got really mad at us.
Yeah, because they knew we were literally talking about our experiences with them.
Right.
That was the experience.
Or at the churches that we went to growing up. Yeah.
And so they got really offended about
Yeah.
that.
So anyways, yeah. It's just, it feels like two
right.
sides of the same coin.
so
It feels
right.
like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, if you can't joke about it, then something's disingenuous about it. That's just a flipping fact. I mean, I don't know. There's no more truth than that.
The deconstructing of the deconstruction. That is so true. All right. Very good. We're going to jump right into It Gave Me
Oh,
Hope.
good. I went on a cruise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cruises are the best. Why? It's not. We've talked about why cruises are the best, but cruises aren't the best just because they're cheap, and if you don't drink alcohol, it feels like they're almost free. Okay, but cruises are the best because they change your routine in a way that you couldn't do on any other vacation. Because in any other vacation, you have to still plan. When you're on a cruise, though, there's no planning. The cruise director is doing their thing. You're just on the ocean, going someplace. They tell you to get off, they tell you to get back on. You're not planning anything. And also, it's not that you're just not planning anything. It's also that your routine changes, but you're forced to not use your phone and technology almost at all.
Yeah.
You can pay to have the whatever, but it's very spotty, and you never know if it's going to work. It's not necessarily worth it because it's extremely slow, and it might not work altogether, and you just wasted a bunch of money. They're not going to give you your money back on that. So you just don't have it. You just don't have your technology, and so when you come home, we all have these routines that we don't even know. Like people say, if you don't make a routine, you are going to be made a routine.
Yeah.
And that's the routine that you just naturally, animalistically, just follow, like phone, this game, watch this. But when you're on the cruise ship, there's nothing to watch or look at on your phone. So you're forced to kind of go back in time to before the internet, and everybody just communicates better.
Yeah.
People are looking at each other more. It's great.
And when you're on a boat, I would imagine you're all you're having a shared experience. So it's probably
With a huge
easier to
group.
talk to people.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're all just on this boat together. Isn't that kind of weird? I guess we should say hi.
There's this camaraderie, and there's like this spirit that's just nice. So I like it. And when you come home, you kind of see yourself kind of go back to drawn to do the same things. But you can, at this point, when you come back, you can feel the feeling that you had while you were on the cruise, and you can compare it to, well, why am I doing this if it doesn't even make me happy, or if I'm not even being productive when you can analyze it better. And they say for smokers to stop smoking, what they have to do that's very helpful is to not even try to stop smoking, but when they go to smoke, think, I'm smoking now.
Yeah.
Why am I smoking? What gave me the urge to smoke right now? And that really helps to stop. When you can analyze the habit instead of just doing it automatically.
That's one of the main things they tell people with OCD is just to
analyze the thought.
Just to recognize, take the thought captive, basically. Just think, hey, I'm having an obsessive thought right now.
Yeah,
Just even the thought of thinking that
helps a lot.
is beneficial instead of just taking it at face value, looking at it from a level above and saying, don't do that.
Yeah,
why are you doing this?
Right, and that's exactly what the cruise does, and so I love it. The first 2 days, like you said, wow, what if technology went out in the United States or the world for a week?
Yeah,
that's kind of what it's like on the cruise. The first 2 days, you feel weird.
Yeah,
and then the third day, it's you're just completely fine.
What's the longest cruise that you guys have taken?
I think 6 days.
Okay. Would you get bored on the boat after 6 days because you'd run out of things to do?
No.
You don't think so?
I don't. I'm sure some people would, but when you can't really get bored of.
Yeah.
It's like the imagination of it all. If you get bored, you can look out at the water and just imagine like, wow, this is what people have like. How did people travel on these wood ships?
Yeah.
It's just insane.
Yeah.
Like
now we do it for fun.
Yeah, now I'm out here and I'm getting free food.
Yeah.
I got all these people waiting on me. It's like it's just hard to even imagine.
And yeah, that's cool. After our last trip, we took up to Gatlinburg while you were gone. Yeah, so Jordan went on a cruise, and so we had to get ahead on videos and stuff.
Right.
And then last minute, Kelly's dad mentioned to us, hey, they have a cabin that they rent out, and they said, hey, the cabin is available. And I was like, well, and then I thought, oh wait, Jordan's not going to be here. We're already ahead.
Yeah. Might as well.
And I looked at the dates. I was like, oh, perfect. So we took a trip too, and it went really well. Like it was the first time. I don't know if the kids are just the right ages, or Kelly and I have gone on enough trips with the boys that we got a better feel for it, like what worked and what didn't. But it was great. And so now you're talking about cruises. I think maybe we could go on a cruise. Maybe when Shiloh's a little bit older, we could go on a cruise.
Yeah.
But that would be really fun. I know the boys would enjoy running around a boat. That would be cool. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing about the cruises. Every time you talk about it, I want to go.
It's so much fun.
Yeah. Let's get to what we recommend. Okay, Jordan, since last we spoke, I have a new favorite video game.
Oh, wow.
It's called Slay the Spire, and it's like a deck building roguelike game.
Violence, blood.
Violence and blood. But no, it's basically just like it's a card game essentially. It's a single player card game where you build a deck as you go through these dungeons.
Let me ask you a question. How much is this like Flame Rouge?
It is 0% like Flame Rouge.
It's card building though, right? That's not how Flame Rouge Flame Rouge is card destruction.
That's right. It's a deconstruction game. That's right. No, but yeah, it's not like Flame Rouge at all. I'm sorry, but it is very fun. It's like, and every time you play, a run might take like 20, 25 minutes. So I love that. I love being able to play a whole game in a short amount of time.
It's on the Switch?
It's on the Switch. It's on everything. I play it on the computer.
So you're battling people like this is Mortal Kombat, but you're doing it with
You're
cards.
just playing with cards, yeah. So like it'll say, okay, they're going to attack you next turn. So you think, okay, let me play my block card. And while I'm at it, let me attack him. And so every time you complete a battle, you might get a new card. And you might then go run by a shop, and the shop will say, hey, do you want to buy other cards? Do you want to delete cards from your deck? Okay. It's so fun. It's very addicting in a good, enjoyable way. It respects your time. It's hard to find games that respect your time anymore. And this one respects your time. If you know what you're doing, you can beat the game in about 30 minutes.
So you mean beat it like you're not playing people? You're
playing. It's a single player game.
Oh, that's fun. Let's go back to the single player.
I know
games.
it's fantastic. I won't get too much into it because it'll be lost if you haven't played before or whatnot. But anyways, if you're looking for just like a fun single player kind of card driven game, Slay the Spire is fantastic. It came out a few years ago. I'd always heard about it, but never checked it out myself. So go check it out. It's really good.
My recommend is, and I probably have recommended this before, but my favorite YouTube channel is called Stuff Made Here. And I'm sure people who watch this channel have seen Stuff Made Here. Great inspirational channel for people who want to become engineers or want to just understand how the world works, how mechanical engineering works, or just building just anything that you want to. This guy is so talented, just a young guy, very young guy. Can build literally anything. He builds like a basketball goal that you can't miss on.
Oh yeah, I've seen this channel before.
I might have suggested.
Yeah, I've seen it at least on YouTube.
He's done it before where he can just play pool and never miss because of the computer and the thing. Yeah. It's incredible. And he just does all this from home. Very inspirational. Great channel. Highly recommend it. He does literally everything himself. He builds everything himself. He films and edits everything himself. So it takes him a while to get his videos out. Yeah. But it's every video is just hilarious somehow too. Like he's such a man. It's just like such a great channel.
That's cool.
So check it out. I'm not going to say too much about it because you just need to watch the videos to kind of see what it is. So definitely go watch them.
Awesome. Thank you for the recommendation. I love that channel. It's great. I want to go back and watch it again.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's nice to be back on the podcast. I thought about so many different things I wanted to talk about, and there's even more that we'll talk about next week.
I know.
Okay, couldn't even fit it all into one episode.
I know. Yeah, I have something else I want to talk about, too.
Oh, okay, for next week?
Yes.
Okay. We'll do it.
Thank you to everybody who has supported us. I'm amazed at how many new people there are. So thank you. Appreciate it so much. If anybody else wants to, just do it.
Do it. Support BlimeyCow.com. Go check out the Clips channel. YouTube.com/@BlimeyCowClips. A lot of great clips for this episode, I believe.
Yes.
Be longer ones, too. All right, everybody. Take care. Talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.